Hi, have you ever wondered about the color part of watercolors? It can be complicated, but I'm here to make it easy for you. So hit subscribe and I'll be right back with some answers. Okay, so we're here to talk about the color part of watercolors. And as I said before, it can get really overwhelming and complicated. When you buy watercolors, you can use a little palette like this, which is inexpensive and great, as long as you don't use the cheap ones in the grocery store for kids. But you could buy tubes of paint too, tubes of colors, and they come in all different colors. So how do you know which ones to buy? Well, I have my idea of the basics. And first, you want to start simple with the primary colors. And the primary colors are the colors of the rainbow. Those are the colors from which every other color derives. So, to make it simple, you obviously need red, and you need blue, and yellow. And from that, you can make green and purple and brown and so on and so forth. You also need black. So those are your basic colors. Those are your primary colors. And then you really can mix these colors and make every other color in the world. But you can also buy most every other color in tubes. So I'm going to tell you which of my favorite tubes of colors I think you should buy if you go the tube route. If you buy tubes, you really need two types of blue. You need a cobalt blue and a cerulean blue. And green, viridian, and cobalt green. Red, you need a primary red and alizarin crimson. You need a gamboge orange and a cadmium yellow. And it's nice to have a nickel and a rust color. And I get this in the quinacridone version because it's much more intense and much more fun. Then a raw umber is great for brown. A Payne's gray is great for gray and black, and I just buy a tube of white. So these are my basic colors, and we're gonna dive into that a little bit more in a second. Now, when you have colors, you may wonder, how do I make them lighter and how do I make them darker? Well, to make them lighter, you just add more water. It's so simple. And to make them darker, you just use the actual paint with no water or use less water. And that's it. I just want to show you how we can control the shade of our colors and make them lighter or darker. This is very, very light blue because it has a lot of water. Let's make it even lighter. Ooh. Now let's make the blue dark by using very little water and pure paint. See the difference? This has a lot of water and I just put more paint in and darkened it. This has almost no water and is very dark. So basically, all you do to make colors lighter is add water. It's super easy. The next thing we want to talk about is how do you mix colors? There's really two ways to mix colors. One is you could take your palette and mix colors together on your palette. Or the better way, I think, in most cases, is to mix it on the paper. It's so much fun to watch paints mix on paper because then you have hundreds of colors just evolving right before your very eyes. It's really fun. All right, so as I said, there's really two ways to mix colors. One way is you can just take your paint and mix your colors on your palette. So let's say I want to make green, and I take some blue, and I take some yellow, and I mix it, and boom, I make green. This is almost just one color, one pool of one color. Now let's try the same exercise on paper. Let's mix our colors, some blue and some yellow, and mix it on our paper. Look at how many different shades of green I achieve by doing it on paper. And I can achieve even more. I can add a little bit more blue here. It's easy to create lots of different variations of green. So it's kind of more interesting, I think, to mix colors on paper, because if you compare the pool of paint, which has one color, to the mixture on the paper, which has many, many different shades of green and variations of green. This makes for a more interesting watercolor. So again, compare that with our one pool of paint, which is much more uniform. So I would go for that when you can. Now, there are warm colors and cold colors, and it's kind of up to you to decide which is warm and cold in your mind, but most people would say that, you know, for example, the blue, the cobalt blue is cold, and the cerulean is warm. You can kind of decide which is warm and cold, but the only reason it matters is just to get a little contrast in your painting. So your painting has the feeling that you want, the energy that you want. We can go into that more later. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about gray. You know, most people think gray is just gray like in the sky, but gray is a whole spectrum of colors that come from mixing all of these other colors. So you can get gray from, you know, brown and green. You can get gray from blue and brown, all sorts of grays. Grays are a fun, exciting color, and there's endless possibilities to create grays. And finally, I want to teach you a little trick about mixing a forest green, and I'll show that to you. All right, I'm going to teach you a little trick. Let's say you're trying to create a really dark forest green. It's hard to find a dark forest green in a tube. So what I do is I take some Viridian and I mix it with a little alizarin crimson, and I combine it until it turns out to be a really, really dark green. Oop, there we go. That's pretty good. I like that color. And look at how it shows up on paper. It's very, very dark. So when you make trees and you want to accent the dark part of a forest or trees, this is a great color. Again, I used alizarin crimson and Viridian green, and I mixed them in the right proportion and got the right color. Okay, so I hope that helps with the colors and simplifies everything. And please be sure and be part of our art community. Hit subscribe to be on our YouTube channel. It'd be great if you hit description below, and you could find a link to our website, brushofgenius.com, where you'll find a lot more materials and courses and classes to evolve you into a great artist. And if you like this video, then maybe hit like or give me a comment. I'd love it. Hope to see you soon.